I call firstly on Deputy Micheál Martin.
Thank you, Ceann Corlin. Taoiseach, last night the Minister for Health revealed that there were over 1,500 additional cervical cancer cases not audited. This shocking and out-of-the-blue revelation confirms that the response to this crisis to date by the Minister and the Department of Health has not been either competent or comprehensive. It is now 2 weeks since the Minister was told about this issue and nearly a week since it became public. Yet we are still discovering shocking information and unsettling new information. I think you've had enough time, Taoiseach, the Government, to get on top of this issue, and you need to do so urgently. As Vicky Phelan said last night on prime time, there is no one leading this, and the news is changing on a daily basis. Ministers have run to the hills, TV programmes absent of senior ministers to try and explain to the public. Calm, competent authority is required in response to this crisis. Confidence in the cervical cancer screening programme is being undermined by this response. Women are fearful and worried across the country. They have been let down. And despite everything, it's worth reminding people that this cervical cancer screening programme has identified up to 50,000 precancerous changes in Irish women without symptoms and has made a very positive contribution to women's health, and that needs to be acknowledged. And in my view, the most effective route to restore confidence is for a competent, comprehensive inquiry that will get to the truth. The precise model is not actually the key. The key is the chair, the personnel and the terms of reference. Yesterday, more uncertainty. Government yesterday talked about a HEQA inquiry. Last night, in the middle of a debate, we move apparently to a commission of inquiry. Urgently, we need clarity. This morning, Taoiseach, we learn from a story in the Irish Times that the Minister for Health, Simon Harris, approved in writing that the Director General of the HSE be allowed to take up a lucrative role at a US contraceptive manufacturer. I have no personal axe to grind with Mr O'Brien. I did have issues around the manner of his appointment at the time by Minister Riley, with the absence of a public competition. But I do believe that the Minister made a serious error in consenting to this, because there is not a conflict of interest, there is a potential conflict of interest. I don't believe you can be Director of the HSE and a member of a board of a health product manufacturer. Plus, there is the added factor that EFOFEM's chairman, the company in question, is Thomas Lynch, the chair of the Board of Ireland East Hospital Group and the Mater Hospital. I think it's a reasonable point that a HSE director should devote the whole of his working time to his job as director, as per HSE policy and earlier statements. And I would put it, Taoiseach, to you and ask you, do you believe both positions are reconcilable, and do you agree that the Minister erred in making this particular decision and in giving consent to Mr O'Brien taking up this 2 months, by the way, before he announced that he was going to retire as Director General of the HSE in August? And could I also ask you, Taoiseach, what steps are you now going to take to authoritatively deal with this crisis, and could we have some badly needed clarity on the form of inquiry being proposed by the Government? I asked you a very serious question about whether or not you agreed that the Minister for Health had made a serious error in facilitating and agreeing in written consent to the Director General of the HSE serving on a board of a company, and you studiously avoided dealing with that question. And I'd like a very clear answer. First of all, do you think the Minister made the correct decision in consenting to that? And secondly, do you think his position on that board is reconcilable with being a Director General of the HSE, with all the inevitable potential conflict of interests that arise from such membership of that board and the personnel involved and so forth? Secondly, I would put it to you that confidence in the cervical cancer screening programme has been undermined by the drip feed of information and shocking new information and revelation. I don't think anyone on this side of the House could accuse you of acting in haste. Actually, the opposite is the case. I agree with Vicky Phelan when she said no one seems to be leading this. There is no calm authority getting to grips with this crisis, and there hasn't been for the last 2 weeks, unfortunately. And I think the only way we can get confidence back in the cervical cancer screening programme is to exercise such authority, make clear decisions. I welcome the peer review of the cytology tests and so on. But we need and you need it as government to make very clear decisions and operate on the basis of being totally in charge of this issue and not have it going in all directions as you have over the last 2 weeks. We need to get to grips with it.